Hello Wanderers, welcome to a brand new video that looks a little bit different than they usually do. However, it does still involve maps, so some of you will be happy at the very least. But I wanted to make a video and I've been planning a new D&D campaign after taking about a 9-month hiatus from my last one, and I'm starting a new campaign. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of walk you through as I build a map for this, because as some of you guys know, I am a big fan of D&D. I'm the dungeon master for life of my group. I love making the maps for the games as well, which is probably partially why I have such a love of Paradox games. So I'm gonna walk you through this. I have not. We're in Inkarnate right now. I really like Inkarnate as a map maker for D&D and all sorts of other things. But I haven't played around with their new 2.0 version too much. So there might be like some fumbling around with the interface changes, but hopefully some of the stuff I'm gonna show you will be, I don't know, will maybe give you some tips or tricks and things like that. And you might even get a little bit of lore out of me as well as I ramble my way through making this map. So what are we doing for this map? We are, well, first of all, if you're in my D&D group, leave now so you don't get any spoilers. I'll give you a moment. All right, you're gone. All right, let's take a look. We are doing a map of Phandalin. Now, Phandalin, for those of you who are not familiar with the new edition of D&D, is a key location in the Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure, which is the starter kit adventure for 5th edition. That was the first D&D campaign I ever ran, the very first campaign that I ever played in. So my first experience with D&D ever was with running this campaign, and it ended up being awesome. The very first session was awesome, and we almost had a TPK. I mean, was it because I was bad at running the game? Maybe, but it ended up being super epic. And yeah, we played on after that. We beat the Lost Mines of Phandelver. Then I ran a Planescape campaign. That was incredibly cool. I ran a Homebrew World campaign after that. And now, after all this time, probably 7 years or something like that, we're coming back to the world of that original campaign, back to Phandalin 10 years later. That's where this campaign's taking place. So what I want to do right now is I want to take this map of Phandalin and I want to essentially update it for 10 years later. So you can see like the original map, this town, it's like a frontier town. Not much going on in it, in the Lost Mines of Phandelver. So it's got like this ruined wall surrounding the town, and there's, you know, a couple houses, and there's a ruined manor up here. And so what I want to do is just essentially imagine what this town would look like 10 years after all this. So that's exactly what we're going to do. First things first, I filled in the map with land, and now we want to get rid of, or, you know, mark out any places of water. There aren't any except for this one little stream up here. So we're going to go and do that. We've reduced the brush size to 0. I'm not going to go smooth here. We could go, or we will select smooth. If you want to get even smaller, or like, I don't know, actually, you used to be able to reduce your roughness or something like that. Anyways, this is fine as is. So I'm just going to go and trace this little stream over here, and that should be our only little bit of water that we need to mark out on the map. So I'm just going to continue it up here a little bit, and that is great. Now, if you are looking at this and you are doing this for yourself and you don't really like that little black outline there, it's a little bit different than you used to, but you can see on the right here side, you can see we have a land-shaped mask, and that is what this is here. So we're going to adjust it a little bit and just make it a little bit fainter. I think that's okay. I don't really like this outer shadow. See what it looks like with it turned off. Oh no, that's the inner shadow. Inner shadow. Yeah, I don't think we need the inner shadow. Or maybe we just reduce it quite a bit. Reduce that intensity. Yeah, I think that looks all right. We'll leave that outer shadow, which is essentially the inner shadow of the water here. That looks fine. We've already covered it. We colored it with dark blue dirt. Maybe when we want to switch that to water. So water, blue, dark. I mean, sure. That's fine. We'll make some adjustments there later. That's the only bit of water that I can see on the map that we want to mark out. So I'm guessing the town is mostly gets kind of filled up by wells and things like that. So yeah, that should be the main things. Now, probably what we want to do to start is we're gonna want to get some buildings down. So I guess we're gonna probably look at this. This does look a little bit different than I remember it here. So probably, can we make this a little bit smaller here? Oh no, it's only recent. It's too bad we can't do small. That's fine. Let's see. What are we gonna need? Probably just the regular structures. Rows? No, I need singular buildings. Big farmhouses, structures, buildings. That's all kind of clusters, rows, and yeah, what do we got? Where's the single houses? Modular buildings? Okay, we've got some simple red buildings here, which we should be able to adjust. Let's see, they've got 10 of them. Okay, that's probably fine. They're huge right now. Definitely don't need them to be that big. Let's reduce it on here a little faster. All right, so let's start putting a few of these down. It's a little annoying when it doesn't automatically let you do that. The house, do I like these ones? They look a little bit, probably not what I want. What other houses do we got? Elves, effects, more details, castles and bridges, core. I think core. Okay, structures, farmhouses, that could be okay. Here we go. This is what we want, is just like small buildings like this. I think this is going to give us a slightly better variety here. Nope. There. All right, yeah, so like you can see we've kind of got this building right here, and this one's almost got like a very similar shape to it already. So I can probably just like plop that down there, and I would call that one good. And then yeah, we're just gonna start to go through and maybe nail down a couple of these little places. So this one's probably fine. I want to recreate the one buildings that are in the town relatively closely. They don't need to be the exact same building, but we'll do our best to kind of get them to look relatively similar here. So it's going to take a little while. I'm probably going to be doing this for at least a couple minutes, but as I do, I suppose, like I said, I might ramble on a little bit about yeah, just my experience with D&D. Like I said, we started playing that adventure, The Lost Mines of Phandelver, quite a while ago now. I think it was maybe a year or two after the starter module came out. I remember that my younger brother got it for me as a birthday gift or a Christmas gift, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, D&D, that seems cool, but I never ended up doing anything with it, just because I'm not sure. I guess I just was like not ready to get into it at the time, and so yeah, I never really ended up doing much with it. Then maybe like 2 years later, I started watching Critical Role, who I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with. It's a D&D show that was on YouTube. I started watching it during the first season. So this, if you know when the first season of Critical Role came out, that's around when I was starting to play D&D. And yeah, basically I started watching that and got really into what they were doing. And I really liked the way that Matthew Mercer did his narration, and just like the really story driven story that he was telling. Like, it wasn't just about the mechanics of the game, it was about the story he was telling with his friends, and I thought that was really cool. And so I started to watch that, and then I thought, man, I've got this starter kit in my like just sitting around right now. Like, why don't I see if some of my friends would play it? And so I asked them if they were interested, and a couple of them had like played before, but most of us were like pretty inexperienced at the time. And I was definitely not definitely not prepared for being a DM at the time, but I gave it a shot. And yeah, like I said, the campaign started out, it was a little bit rough. I was, you know, trying to play the characters and even do little voices and things like that for some of the NPCs, and it was rough. It was rough at the beginning, but it did end up, everybody had like a ton of fun. We had this really cool thing at the beginning. So, spoilers for Lost Mine of Phandelver if you haven't played it before. But the in the beginning, you end up going up against this cave full of goblins, and the goblins are being led by a bugbear. Maybe I'll put one on screen if I can remember when I'm editing this. But yeah, they're being led by a bugbear named Clark. And normally, when you're playing through this, I think most teams are able to take Clark down. But that was not the case for our team. We ended up really struggling in that part, because Clark, he is actually like relatively tough as an enemy, and our team ended up having to run away, getting chased out of the cave by Clark. And one of the characters, the halfling cleric, ended up being like having to like hold the line, like fending off Clark, while all the rest of them escaped down a rope, because they had to like escape down this rock slide. And the halfling's like holding off this bugbear while all his injured party members are running away. And then the halfling runs at last and just barely makes it away. And I remember coming away from that session and just everybody was just like, that was so much fun. And like completely unexpected. That's not the way it's normally supposed to go, but that is the way that it went for us. And yeah, we all had a blast and decided to keep playing from there. So yeah, then we kept that campaign going for, it took a good couple of months at the very least. We had a lot of divergences from the actual module that you run normally, and yeah, we started to ad lib things. Like, this one character, like an important NPC, ended up getting killed, and so they made this huge divergence to go to a nearby city called Neverwinter to go get him resurrected. And that, I don't think, is something that is expected in the adventure that we were running. So that's where I really started to put my improv to the, my improv chops to work. And that's when I really started to fall in love with D&D, was when I started to get to really put my own spin on things, and yeah, just basically kind of do whatever I want. Because if you have watched my channel before, you guys know that I'm a storyteller. I read a lot of fantasy as a kid. I remember the first actual proper book that I ever read was The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that book series. Let me know in the chat if you are. But yeah, I love that book series, and it totally got me hooked into fantasy. I read, the Elfstones of Shannara and Wish Song of Shannara. Wish Song, obviously, for those of you who are familiar with the Shannara books, if you're familiar with the those main, like the first three, I guess you could say, Sword of Shannara, Elfstones of Shannara, Wish Song of Shannara. Wish Song of Shannara is, in my opinion, by far the best of the three. It is incredibly epic, and I love that book. It just I don't know, did something really cool, and I kept reading after that. I got into the Raymond E. Feist books, so Pug and Thomas and all of them, the Magician Apprentice and Magician Master books. And yeah, I became an avid reader, and well, ever since then, I've been in love with fantasy, and so going into D&D was kind of a natural thing. I'm surprised I didn't get into it earlier, but I guess I just never had anything that prompted me to do so. I never had any friends that were into it, or played it, or had really much experience with it at all. And so, yeah, it was mostly just a real like learning experience for me to play that campaign, to get my improv chops. I now when I play, I do all sorts of crazy voices for the characters. I'll do goblin voices, I'll do monster voices, I will do accents and all sorts of things, because I really do try to have a style of playing or of DMing that focuses on the story and really tries to like immerse the players. I've had pretty good experiences with that, and I've got a great table of players. We've played together. It's pretty much been the same group for the whole time. We've added a couple people here and there, but overall it's been mostly the same, and they're all into the story. Some of them are more like the mechanics and stuff more than others, and some of them, but everybody is into the storytelling element of it, and that makes it so worthwhile for me as a storyteller and as a DM to have those players be that invested in it, because I'll have things happening in these campaigns that are just so like these twists and stuff, and it's exactly the same as when you're watching something like Game of Thrones and this crazy twist happens and you just go like, what the hell was that? That's the kind of reaction that when I get that out of my players, I just feel so satisfied as a DM that I can give them that same feeling that they get out of watching something like Game of Thrones. And that maybe sounds like I'm tooting my own horn a little bit, but it is true. And if any of my players have not heeded my warning and have been watching thus far, well, maybe you can leave a comment down below to let me know if that was your experience as well. But I feel like pretty confident that it is, because we've all had some huge moments. And if you guys have had those moments in your own D&D campaigns, please do let me know. I'm gonna lower the layer on this one. There we go. So it just goes just underneath this one here. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, so oh my gosh, I'm gonna get my mind is gonna lose track here very easily. But oh, now we want to go up a layer. Oh, I see, because we're underneath the map layer here. We're gonna want to take this, and gonna want to grab this and reduce its layer to the bottom. That way we don't go underneath it. So there we go. All right, let's continue over here. I get a new building. Why will it not let me? There. Oh, but now it's trying to put that subway. I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna grab this. Sublayer 0. I don't know why it's still opaque though. Oh, because I moved up that other one now. Really not. All right. Why is it? Oh, opacity lowered. There we go. All right. Anyways, that was a major distraction. Now I'm definitely gonna forget what I was talking about there. But yeah, been into fantasy since I was a kid. My dad would always buy me just like new fantasy books and stuff every couple weeks. And I would down them. I would read books in probably about a day or 2 days tops. It would take me to finish a fantasy book when I was in my heyday there. And yeah, I went through a lot. I still own most of those books. Probably about at least 80% of them are on the bookshelf just behind me right now. And yeah, it is really fun to get to tell these stories in D&D collaboratively with your friends. So if you are not somebody who plays D&D but you're, maybe you've been interested in it for a while, absolutely go and try to find some friends who are interested in that. Convince them, cajole them, do whatever it takes, because I think that a lot of people would be surprised by how much fun they have with D&D, even if they don't consider themselves to be a D&D person. And I've had that experience with people people in my own group, and people who didn't really seem like D&D people before, who end up becoming D&D people after playing with us. So this one's looking a little bit janky. That actually makes it look a little bit better. What we're gonna do, so I'll probably do some of this after, but we're gonna want to adjust some of the colors on these. Let's see where. Oh yeah, here we go. Edit the hue. We're gonna just adjust the hue so that they match a little bit more. Maybe just like that. Brightness. Oh yeah, there we go. Now these two look fairly similar, I would say. So there we go. That was a nice little adjustment there to get those looking pretty good. So we've got a couple things, on the map here, looking all right. And yeah, we're just gonna continue to fill some of this out. Let's go. I mean, we've put a bunch of buildings down, so maybe I'll do something a little bit different here. And let's go and put some cliffs. Brown hill composites. I don't think we want composites. We do want hills though. Green hills. Green hills are probably fine for what we need for this. So you can see that this place is up on a hill, obviously, and we're gonna do our best to match that. So let's see. This one's probably too much of curve, but let's see. Do we got anyone that's just like slightly more? Ooh, this might be good just down here, actually. So let's rotate that. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. Then we'll take, I guess, a relatively. How's this curve? That's the wrong way. That is the wrong curve there. Let's see. This one? No, that's also the wrong way. Okay. I think we might need to go with this. Let's turn it over like this. It doesn't need to be perfect here, obviously, but gonna grab that. We're gonna throw that there. This one goes out fairly straight. I don't like the way that looks though. Let's see. What do we got for other directions? Could we do it like this, and then just put this one? I don't like the way they match there. So let's revert. No, flip it this way, and then turn it like that, and there we go. That's looking a little bit better. Let's pull this back and just adjust it a tiny bit there. That looks good. All right, then we want to continue with ones that are relatively straight. One thing that I don't like about Inkarnate, and it does this sometimes and not other times, is like when you put your stamp down, it should always set you up on the rotation. So like you can see here, the circle and the square appears, which allows me to rotate the stamp that I'm putting down. It should always default to that popping up rather than a new stamp. Or maybe, or it should allow you to change that setting at the very least. So there we go. These are all mostly the same stamp, but it looks pretty okay there anyways. So let's just go and try to get this next section. What do we got here? That's just a little small piece. These ones could be okay for this. We just need to flip this around, I think. It's not exactly how the hill goes, but I'm fine with making it up a little bit as we go along. I'm not I'm not a stickler for these kind of things. Rains could have changed how the hill looks precisely, and also my players are not gonna remember anyways, so we'll go and just put this like that, and then maybe we'll get one more with like a gentler curve. That's not really a curve, that's just straight, but that is probably fine. I think we can just leave it like that. This is more of the slope of the hill. This hill, I don't know if this hill is actually meant to be more sheer. I guess we could do grassy hills. What's the difference there? Okay, let's switch up the hill type here, and this one, that's a long piece there, which I do like. So I'm gonna throw that one right on there, and then we're gonna grab not that one. That it's gonna be off the screen, so I'm actually totally fine with. No, actually, this is implying that the hill goes way out that way, where it's clear that it's just in a circle here. So we can't do that one. That one's way too much curve here. I don't want to do any of those. Oh, there's a little bit more here to work with actually in this one. I will maybe do this. Yeah, this could be okay. And then it curves back around. Let's see what we got. Ooh, yeah, okay. Maybe we just take this one, rotate it this way, grab it like that. Could work. I don't mind that. Yeah, okay, that looks all right. That looks all right. Let's grab something that curves. Oh yeah, that's a nice one there. And this might actually just be enough as is. Finish that off. Nice, that looks pretty good already, I would say. So we've got those nice curved hills. We've got some buildings. I want to shrink this a little bit because it looks a little bit weird compared to some of the others. Same with this one. Tiny bit shrinking there. And that looks pretty good. This is a short little video. Well, maybe not that short. It's been close to half an hour, I think. I think I'm going to end things here, but I want to ask you, those of you who actually managed to stick around, would you be interested in seeing more of these map making videos? I don't know, maybe I can become the Bob Ross of cartography or something like that, where I just ramble on while I'm making these maps. Yeah, it's actually not a terrible idea. Regardless, yeah, just let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know about your own D&D experiences. If you have any cool campaigns or like a favorite character that you've played, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, maybe if I do more of these episodes, I'll tell you a little bit more about the campaign I'm cooking up. But until then, Wanderers, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.